Hello everybody, gone fucking grey. It's been a few days since the last clip. I've been struggling a bit still, but also recently on Fridays has been the day that I've tried to really get stuff done on my on the unit, on the shelves. Excuse me. But this Friday I ended up needing to help my dad with something, which took all day. Absolutely wiped me out. It's pretty much wiped me out for 3 days. Yeah, I've not done much at all. Now, it might look like I've probably not long woke up, but to be fair, I've been awake a while. Oddly, I shouldn't be tired though. I've not overdone myself today yet. I had a fairly decent amount of sleep. But yeah, I'm just very hot and very worn out. I'm very worn out. But I'm gonna try and get some of the gluing done, the filling done. Now, while I was carving, I did leave things pretty rough with the carvings, but that's because my intention is to smooth it all up with the sander, the power sander, and I'm not going to do that until I've finished doing all the filling, so I need to crack on with that. So that's what my plan is for today, so I'm going to try and kick on with that a bit, and try and get as much done as I physically can. So I shall adjust the camera and crack on. Excuse me. Now, I will say, if you can hear some background noise, buzzing, I have got a fan on at the moment because, like I said, I am. Oh Jesus! Well, I'm not Jesus, but I am quite warm, so I've got a fan on me. Okay, so from the last time we did some gluing and filling, we tried doing it neat and tidy, we tried doing it building layers up, and in the end it turned out the best way was to literally mix up the wood, the sawdust in the glue and fucking dollop it in. So that is the way that I'm going to do it today, but I am going to need to clean all of these with white spirits before I start applying any kind of stain to them, because that was the other thing that we learned from the last lot, was about trying to get the surrounding area of where I put this stuff on to not show where any excess may have gone. So yeah, I need to, once it's all sort of filled, sanded down and all ready to go, I can then give it a clean down with white spirits, and hopefully then I won't have a problem with the excess. Right, I may have just put a little bit too much sawdust in this. It was quite liquidy, but it's now gone very oh no, it might be alright as long as I can mix and stir. It's definitely gone. Needs a little more glue in there now. I should have left it without putting that last pinch in, but oh well. Right, from what I can remember seeing as well, there are quite, or not are, there is quite a lot on these pieces that need filling. Oh, careful doing that, Dave, because you've just fucking blown sawdust everywhere, you twat. So you know, my mind is not functioning right at all. I know that. I kind of almost feel like I'm going on autopilot at the moment, and I'm having to force myself to do most things, to be honest. Anyway, right. Yes, so as I said, I know that there's quite a lot to that's going to need filling and stuff like that, so I just need to crack on and get as much done as I can. I'm not going to try and do pretty hair with it, really. I mean, that's a bit excessive of a dollop, but I'll give it a chance to sit in a moment, and not sit in, sink in. I'm not being particularly tidy with this. I'm just don't want it to be an absolute fucking mess. I don't need to be sanding down a centimetre thick piece of glue and wood. Okay, that's going a bit wrong there, Dave. Well, I am literally just fucking dolloping it on. I need to remember that was the best way I found to do it. I mean, yeah, I don't want it to be on there fucking too thick so it takes forever to sand down, but a dollop a day is not a saying, as they say. Okay, just nearly lost the wood there. A bit like last time as well, the frustrating part of this is the length of time that it takes the glue to set, because although it can set quite quickly initially, it can appear to set quite quickly, it does take a long time to actually completely set hard, which can be a little bit frustrating when there is bits on the other side of this that might need doing, so I won't be able to see them. So it is a bit of a time consuming process, but I did kind of have a look. Yeah, there's not a huge amount on there, but yeah, it's going to end up being a bit of a time consuming process, and the only thing I can do is apply the glue where I can and then move on. So I was going to I'm going to do the smaller pieces next, just because of the space that I've got. That might still need carving out a bit, really, but we'll see. So not really a lot that needs doing on this, just the one knot, really. Now, it's maybe a bit of a barbaric way to do this, but it's the way I'm going with for now. Oh. Okay. Let's get you in there. Okay, so that's those three. If I move my glue, I can potentially put the next pieces of wood over there. Right, so what have we got on here? A little bit on there, loads on that knot, and quite a bit on that knot as well. Okay, so I'll do this bigger bit here first. When I say where I've got multiple sides to do, there's only one thing I can do with that, and that is apply this, let it dry, or at least let it dry to a point where I can turn it over without it basically all pouring off, and then I can apply it onto the other sides. I am still going a bit brutal with this. That's a very brutal, really, but we'll see how it comes out. You know what, I'm actually going to cover this a bit more, because there's so many holes in this knot that I basically want to fill the whole thing in. Because sanding it down, I could be there for fucking days sanding that down. Whereas that is a bit crude, but we'll see. The dollop technique has worked before. Hopefully it shall work again. Okay, let's pop you over there. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so we've got loads on this piece to do, loads in this area, and there. Oh goodness me, yeah, and some there. That is not cleaned up at all. I need to clean that up really. I think what I'll do, I won't clean up any of the carvings at the moment. I'll do that before I sand them. I mean, thinking about it, I do remember that one of the reasons I stopped doing the carving the other day wasn't because I'd finished as such. It was because I'd got to a point where I could stop, and I had to stop because of my hands hurting. I had forgotten about that, to be fair. But something I will say as well is, if for example you have been watching all of these videos and you stuck with it all the way through, all the way to this point, then thank you very much. And are you fucking mental? But I appreciate it. I mean, okay, I'm not doing these videos for other people. I'm doing it so I suppose I can justify sitting here talking to myself while doing this stuff. I've been in two minds a bit whether to talk about current goings on, things like CBT, cognitive behaviour therapy, which I think, if I'm honest, at the moment isn't really doing anything for me, but because of the current climate, basically all therapy and doctor sessions are being done over the phone, and to be honest, when it comes to mental health therapy, I think a big part of it, I've just remembered that's the side with the big split on it, not split but the big hole. Yeah, when it comes to mental health therapy, I do think a big part of it is not physical contact but visual as well. I mean, it's all well and good having a conversation on the phone, but it's much more than that. In reality, you need more than that. And for me at the moment, yeah, I don't think, although the stuff that the lady says makes sense, and much of it is stuff that I kind of know or have been doing anyway, things like breaking bad cycles or trying to, but yeah, so I've been noticing a particular benefit of the sessions at the moment, but I guess that's where it's just going to take some time. Okay. I'm saying that actually, one of the things they do to kind of judge how you're getting on with things is they do a points calculated sort of questionnaire type thing, and I noticed that from not the last session, the session before, there was many differences of my mood, my frame of mind, over the course of the week. Quite dramatic changes actually, which I believe were highlighted in the answers on the questionnaire. However, I've just seen a bit that needs carving, you bugger. Yes, yeah, so it's a points calculated questionnaire, and now when I was answering the questions, I know that there were differences in the answers that I was giving compared to a previous week. However, when she calculated the points from it, it sort of came back as okay, you've scored slightly lower this week than last week. Do you think that's relevant, is what she said, and I answered no. And she seemed quite surprised at that, until I sort of pointed out, I said, look, the score might be the same, but where the score is very different. And I did actually tell her, I said, I think that's where your points calculated system doesn't necessarily work if you only look at the basic data. Well, it's one thing saying, yeah, okay, you've scored it's a lower score than last week, well done, great. But it's not great if there are, I mean, for example, if one of the questions was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to take your own life? well, if the previous week it was 1, but this week it's 10, but on another question, which was, how likely are you to go out and socialise this week between 1 and 10? Well, if the answer last week was 10, but this week it's 1, that difference is much less important. But on a points calculation, it would show no change. Whereas, in actual fact, the changes would be a huge one. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. But yeah, anyway. Right. I'm starting to run out a little bit of space on my table. Just need to make sure I'm not going to be putting any wood on top of any glue. Okay, let's see what we've got on this one. Okay, yeah, there's quite a bit to do on this one. There's fucking, I think I mentioned it before, knot there that goes all the way through, and another one there, and another one there. Okay. No, I won't start in the middle one, I'll start in the end one. Now, one of the advantages of dolloping this is that yes, it will sink in, but hopefully because it's dolloped, when it does sink in, it's not going to leave an indentation. There's going to be enough there to cover how much it's going to go down. Well, we can hope anyway. I suppose one way I could have done this would have been to try and get a piece of wood in there, but a lot of faffing. I just want to go down this route. I mean, another option would be to try and take the knots out, but that would be an absolute fucking nightmare. I will admit it does look it's looking horrible and nasty just seeing all this glue splodged, but that's what it was like last time. But the end result was better from splodging. Oh, that's a mess. See the bit I'm on at the moment, but yeah, tough shit I'm afraid, because I don't think I can get the camera to turn around that far. Well, I can, but you still ain't going to see much, it's too close. Now, I think one advantage of doing the glue this time is that the temperature is warmer, so hopefully the glue will set a little quicker, but unfortunately there is going to be no rush in these. It will be done when it is done, I'm afraid. Okay, it looks like I've got one piece that didn't really need anything. Just to see if it needed any carving. Nope, don't think so. But yeah, so really the only thing I can do with this lot now is wait. Wait for it to dry enough for me to be able to start applying more, which is, I've got to say, is a little bit frustrating because I want to kind of crack on and get stuff done, but yeah, it is what it is. Alright, so I'm going to take a break for a bit and I shall see you later.